retired Major General Vincent Boles was commissioned from the Army ROTC program at Niagara University as a distinguished military graduate in 1976. He has served in a variety of assignments over a 33-year career, including command at every possible level and a number of combat deployments. His final assignment was the Assistant Deputy Chief of Staff, where he oversaw the logistics operations and readiness for 1.1 million soldiers, including the surges into Iraq and Afghanistan. In 2011, he was inducted into the U.S. Army Ordnance Corps and Niagara University ROTC Halls of Fame. He serves as an adjunct professor of leadership and logistics at the University of Alabama, Huntsville, as well as the Defense Acquisition University. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a very warm welcome to Major General Vinny Boles.
Morning. How y'all doing? That was a little limp. Nothing wrong with this room. 40 push-ups and a 4-mile run wouldn't cure. And you're all looking around the table wondering who you're going to volunteer to do them, right? Okay, let's cut to the chase pretty quickly. Okay, I was sitting at breakfast, and one of my breakfast mates very politely leaned over, looked at me, and said, "So, General, are you a credit union member?" And I looked and said, "Yeah." So let's get this out of the way. Aberdeen Proving Ground Federal Credit Union, where you at? 1976 Chevy Vega, $200 car payment, my first one. Mother thought I was going to be a success in the Army because, honey, they gave him a car loan. I mean, what, you know. Then let's see, Fort Knox Federal Credit Union, I met them earlier. Yep, my second car loan. My wife upgraded from a Vega. We bought a 1978 Cutlass. That was about it. It was a big deal then, okay? And then I had the pleasure of being taken care of by some great folks. I think Rich and the folks from Rock Island are here. Rock Island Arsenal. They did a wonderful job taking care of me on my deployments to Operation Iraqi Freedom, Enduring Freedom, and a great community. And now I'm blessed to be in Huntsville, Alabama, and a member of the Redstone Federal Credit Union there. So do I pass muster? Can I stay? Okay. So let's get the critical thing out of the way. In about the next 2 minutes, I have to answer 3 critical questions. If I answer these 3 questions to your satisfaction, we're going to have a good connection about leadership. If I don't answer them, you'll very politely be sitting in your chairs, but you'll be on your Crackberry, Blackberry, and your mind will be somewhere else. 3 questions are, who am I? What am I going to talk about? And why should you care? Who am I? I'm a 33-year veteran of your United States Army. Today is the first day of the 243rd year of that Army serving the nation. And congratulations. And I've been privileged to serve in your Army. I mean, and congratulations to you for your 50 years. That's not Little League. That didn't just happen because somebody snapped their fingers. That's who I am. What am I going to talk about? I'm going to talk about leading and connecting with people and your workforce. Because with all the technology and all the changes that are going on, that hasn't changed. Leadership hasn't changed. And leadership is the difference between an organization being adequate and an organization achieving greatness and excellence. Anytime you look at an organization that's doing something great, I guarantee you one thing. The leaders aren't terrible. The leaders have to be great for an organization to be great. It's just the way it is. And the third reason, the third question I need to ask and answer for you is, why should you care? Why should you care? Because leadership's the secret sauce. Leadership is what makes the difference. And organizations that know the difference between leadership and management, or organizations that achieve greatness. Because a lot of organizations I work with think that management is leadership, and it isn't. Management is directive. Management's a clipboard and a task list. Do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. Leadership is connective. How do you connect with folks? How do you get folks when the phone rings at 4:30 and they walk by your desk and they hear you talking about something that's important? Leadership is when they execute an about face, they go back to their desk, put their briefcase down, pick up the folder they need, and they're standing in front of your desk when you hang up the phone going, what do you need? If you don't have leadership, they keep walking at 4:30. Reality, they figured out it takes 7 minutes to get to the parking lot, so leave at 4:23. So those are the three things, the three questions I've asked and answered for you. Who am I? What am I going to talk about? And why should you care? And I think that's pretty critical stuff. And it's small, but it's not unimportant. Now, I got good news and bad news about leadership. Okay? Good news. Leadership is not complicated. It is not complicated. It is taking the time and being willing to connect with people and extend yourself to connect. That is not complicated. And when you talk to folks who are frustrated with their leaders, they don't come at you with their complaints aren't full of long laundry lists of things. They go, if they just care, if they just talk to me, if they just tell me what's going on. So I found over time, 33 years in the Army and I'm almost 9 years in the corporate sector, I found it's not very complicated. That's the good news. Here's the bad news. Bad news is it's hard. It's hard. You got to be consistent, you got to be persistent. You can't sit there and walk in and look at your executive assistant and go, Monday, Wednesday, Friday are my leadership days. Tuesday, Thursday sucks to be you. You really can't do that. You got to be a good leader, and you got to be a leader every day. And when the heat's high and the pressure's on and the outcome's uncertain in your organization and people are under stress, is when you have to be as a leader at your best. I mean, when it's 70 degrees out and there's 3 email messages in your inbox and the only frustration you have is your chief financial officer keeps coming into your office saying, I don't know what to do with all these members and I'm not sure what to do with all this cash. Okay, leadership's pretty easy then. It's not very hard. It kind of falls in the don't screw it up category. But when the heat's high and the pressure's on and the outcome's uncertain and folks don't know what to do, that's when leadership gets tough, and it's supposed to. If leadership was easy, we'd contract it out. Yeah, you got that, huh? Good. Yeah. In the Army, it's really interesting. There's 2 things we haven't contracted out. We haven't contracted out leadership and command, and we haven't contracted out combat. Don't have a lot of contractors taking that on for us. Okay? So that's what I want to talk to you about there. You with me? I'm working up here. You with me? Yeah, fake it till you feel it. You'll be all right. There he is. June 1976. That is not my younger brother. Lieutenant Boles is standing in front of the Officers Club at Aberdeen Proving Ground, Maryland, a place I spent way too much time at. And about the only thing I knew how to do with 3 weeks in the Army is put on a uniform and stand in front of that sign. I was clueless. I couldn't pour water out of a boot if you printed tip on the heel. I was clueless. Now, you might want to ask the question, well, General, how did you get from there to here? I mean, you had a plan, right? Yeah. Let's talk about that plan. Now, let me ask you all a question. Who works for you? Why do they work for you? Why do they get up every morning, clean themselves up, come into work, and decide to bask in the glow of your charisma every day? Why? My father was an Irish immigrant from County Sligo, Ireland. So was my mother. They came to America. People look at me and go, why are you from New York City? The boat stopped there. I didn't get a vote. That was it. Dad didn't ask. Is this okay with you? It's like, that was it. And my father figured out very, very quickly with an 8th grade education that he wasn't going to get a seat on the New York Stock Exchange and no big industry was going to hire him. So you all familiar with the TV show Flip This House? My dad got on to Flip This Bar and Restaurant. And he would flip a bar and restaurant all the time. At one point he had 6, 7 places in New York City. I was the oldest of 4 boys. My dad's hiring philosophy was I would rather breed my help than hire it. And so I started. And I'm mopping floors in Boles' bar. And one day, I'm 16 years old. I still remember it. I'm on 39th Street between 5th and 6th Avenues, and I'm mopping the floor for about the 300th time. Never one time working for my dad did I ever do anything to standard. Ever. Ever. Hardest working man I ever saw in my life. Ever. People see me work hard in the Army. They go, what? I say, well, you didn't see Jimmy Boles. I mean, my dad outworked anybody I ever saw. And my father leaned over the bar, looks at me as I'm mopping that floor, and he says, Vincent, you better do a good job there. This is all going to be yours someday. And I remember leaning over to squeeze that mop, and I said to myself, Jesus, Mary, and sweet St. Joseph, I got to get plan B. Now, after you're laughing, let me go back to the question I asked you. Who works for you? Do you know if you're their plan B? Do you know why? Because knowing that story forges that connection, begins that connection. So who works for you? So I joined the Army because of what I didn't want to do. And I took an ROTC scholarship, and I got a 2-year scholarship, and the Army said, yo, it's 4 years, and people said, that doesn't sound fair. I said, works for me. It means I'm not mopping floors in Boles' bar for, the rest of my life. And when I'd work hard in the Army, people would say, how come you're working so hard? I'd say, I know what I'm going back to if this Army thing doesn't work out. And that was it. Now, leadership should be easy. It should be easy when you think about it. I mean, I got 3 reasons I say that. First, there is plenty of information on the subject. Google leadership. In 0.27 seconds, you get 178 million hits. There's 6,700 books the last time I checked on Amazon about leadership. There are more options on leadership than you can shake a stick at. There are no 10 commandments. Just do these 10 things. Don't do anything else. If you want to be an introvert and you want to be lead that way, all your boss does is look over and say, does it work? Yep, works for you. Okay, keep doing it. That's all people care about. Does your leadership style work? So you got lots of options, lots of information about how to lead. That should make it easy. Second reason it should be easy. People want it. People want to be well led. They want their boss to be the person when they're with their significant other at Starbucks, at Costco, at Walmart, in your credit union somewhere. They want their boss to be the person when they're with their significant other. They say, honey, come here. I want you to meet my boss. By the way, if that's not happening to you, if you see them with their significant other and all you get is the wave and they keep going, the conversation's going something like this. Oh, honey, who was that? That's the boss. Not that's my boss. That's just the guy. That's just the gal. That's just a face in the space on the wiring diagram. So people want to be well led. And people will go to organizations because there's this myth that people leave organizations. No, they don't. People don't quit General Motors. People don't quit IBM. People don't quit your credit unions. People quit you. They don't want to work for Joe. They don't like working for Mary. They don't like the way you treat them, so they leave you. When you ask somebody, why don't you work with them anymore? They don't say, because I looked at the balance sheet of the company and I look at the way they're strategically structured and I don't think that's a good idea. They usually say, I went in to work with Joe and he didn't treat me right. So there's plenty of information about how to lead, and people want to be well led. Third reason it should be easy. Leaders normally, usually, unless they were moral sorry dogs, usually want to lead well. I mean, I live in the state of Alabama now. And regardless of your athletic allegiance in that state, which is a big deal, okay, Gus Malzahn at Auburn and Nick Saban at Alabama, when they're putting on their appropriate colored golf shirts and getting ready to go talk to the team in the locker room, they are not looking in the mirror saying to themselves, yeah, I can feel it. This year, this season, 2 wins, 12 losses, yeah. So there's plenty of information, plenty of options about how to do it. People want to be well-led, and they want it. And leaders want to lead well. Well, Stevie Wonder can see this. I mean, this should be easy. But it isn't. I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you the reason it gets hard is because we think about leadership in terms of what works for us. What butters our biscuit, as they like to say down south? What works for you? And in reality, if you want to be a truly effective leader, you got to think about what works for them. And it may not be what works for you. That's the biggest challenge with millennials. They got all these myths. I hear people, these millennials, these this and that. And I go, shut up. You were a millennial once too. Ask your parents. My mother and father, 1964, lying in bed looking at each other saying, my God, we have failed. He stays on the phone all day and he listens to the Rolling Stones. He doesn't like Perry Como. What's his problem? These kids are different. Duh, so are you. The difference is we allow technology to stop us from forging a connection with them. So you got to get over that. Because that doesn't change, because they want that connection. They just have a couple of different control mechanisms that you got to work through. So leadership should be easy, but it gets in the way because we think about what works for us, not what works for them. And what I want to start with is I want to talk to you about the 4 expectations your folks have if they're working for you. I said the expectations they have of you. I didn't say the expectations you should have of them. First, they want you to establish structure. We're going to talk about that. Second, they want your help in managing the critical relationships that make business go. Third, they want your help in balancing risk, which means identifying, mitigating, and balancing risk. And fourth, they want your help in making decisions. They want you to make decisions. They don't want you to cogitate your navel all day. They want you to make decisions. So that's what I'm going to talk about for the time we have left. We're going to, just me, iMac. Thanks, Ray. So here's the deal. The first thing I talked about is they want you to establish structure. Establish structure. I don't mean the wiring diagram and the faces and the spaces. Who's got a dotted line, who's got a solid line, more boxes you got underneath you, more powerful you are. It's not what I mean. I'm talking about how are you structured? How are you wired? How do you make decisions? What's important to you when you process information? Have you ever had someone in your life, a romantic relationship, a spouse, a business relationship, a social relationship? You ever had a relationship in your life that you said to yourself, I'd really love to give that person what they want. I wish I just knew what it was. You ever had that happen? Yes? Here's my question. How many of the folks that work for you are saying that about you? Do they know how you're structured? Do they know how you process information and make decisions? Do they know how you decide to decide? I see organizations when I coach and I consult leaders, and they'll sit there and they'll tell the folks to do something. I go, well, how are they going to do that? He goes, I don't know. Well, are you concerned about that? They'll figure it out. And he sits in his office very comfortably, and I go walking out to the workforce, and they're all sitting out in the hallway going, does anybody know how we're going to do this? Anybody know what he's talking about? So the first critical thing they want is they want you to establish structure. How are you wired? How do you process information? How do you do things? How are you structured? Because otherwise, they're going to spend all their time trying to figure out what you want, and you want them spending their energy giving you what you want, what you need. But they're going to try to figure out what does he want, not how does he want it. So first critical thing is establish structure. Second critical thing, they want your help in managing the critical relationships that make business work, that make their jobs work. Now, at this point in time, I must confess, in your industry, at this point in time, some of you are very nicely rolling your eyes inside your heads and looking, going, General, please. We are in the financial business. We take care of our members. We are all about connecting with people and managing relationships. General, we got this. And I go, really? Let's take a test. And you can do this at home. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to draw a line down the middle of the paper, and the first thing I want you to write at the top is internal relationships. And I want you to write the critical internal relationships that have to go well in your organization in order for business to get done. Who are the critical people you got to touch that there's got to be a good relationship to make things happen? Who's the critical people? And then I want you to, as you're looking at that list, I want you identifying the people in your organization who have become known as Dr. No. Y'all know them, right? You know, I got to go down to HR and I got to get this action approved. Mary's working today. Not going today. Fred's there. Ooh, Fred, yes. In the Pentagon, we used to call them, back in the, I'm old enough to remember this. Before computers, you'd have to, one of the key questions in the Army, key staff functions in the Army, was you had to get an action approved. And you couldn't just get an action approved because you did it. You had to go to all the other affected staffs and they had to sign off on it. So it was called getting their chop. And you have to come in and get their chop. And if you were a major, what you got to do is you got to do the running to do that. You know, the colonels and generals wouldn't do it, you got to do it. And you'd get to know all these executive assistants and secretaries. You'd walk in, and they'd look at you and you'd say, Mary, I need to get this chopped off and signed off as a boss in. She'd go, Major Boles, the boss is really busy. Can I see what you're putting in? And I'd put it in front of her. She'd go, Major Boles. We used to call them the comma mamas. She'd look and she'd go, you have the signature block 4 spaces down. The signature block is supposed to be 5 spaces down and directly apportioned underneath the date. Now, if I don't have a good relationship with Mary, I have to take the paper, slink back to my office, and start doing it again on a typewriter with carbon paper and whiteout. Okay. We used to joke in the Army how you knew a guy was not digitally savvy when you looked at his computer screen and he had whiteout all over it. You just kind of knew that. But if you have a good relationship, Mary would look and go, Major Boles, do you have the disc? Yeah, we had those. Do you have a disc? Yeah, here. I'd hand her the disc. She'd say, I'll fix it. And she'd fix it, hand it back to me. She'd go on in. So you have to have those critical relationships. Who are the critical relationships internally in your organization that have to go well? And then I want you to take the other side of the paper and I want you to write critical external relationships. Who are the external agencies you've got to have a positive relationship with in order for business to work well? For many of the credit unions on DOD installations, it's the garrison commander. It's the staff. It's living within their rules and regulations and having a good relationship. Because you know what? The first time you see somebody is when the building's on fire and you got a problem. So you got to have a good relationship externally. And I want you to go through and make those 2 lists. How long should my list be? It's your list. My only criteria is it's got to be critical. And after you go through that list, what I want you to do is rate the list. Rate how well the relationship is. A plus sign means it's going great. Minus sign means not so hot. The one that should really concern you, however, is if you look at that, you know it's a critical relationship and you got a question mark. Because that means you don't know. So you have a critical relationship in your organization that you don't know how it's going. Then I want you to put your list down and I want you to go pick up your BlackBerry, your iPhone, your iPad, your Abacus, however you keep your time. And I want you to look at it and I can guarantee the following. Guarantee it. Any place you have a minus sign or a question mark, you haven't had a positive interaction with that entity in the last 6 months. Now, you're going to give me a lot of reasons for that. They're a pain to work with. If I want to know why it's too tough, too difficult, too expensive, it wasn't their fault and somebody else should be doing it, they're the ones I go to. And your folks don't care. Your folks know it's a difficult relationship. They want your help in managing that relationship and making it better. Well, General, how do I find these people? It's very easy. The next time one of your folks does something really good that you're really impressed with, ask them this question. Who helped you with that? They'll tell you. And those are the critical relationships that are making things go well in your organization. So first is establish structure. How are you wired? How do you process things? That's an expectation they have of you. Second, they want your help in managing critical relationships. Third, they want your help in balancing risk. And that's identifying, balancing, and mitigating risk. Because we are not in a risk avoidance business. If you want to be in a risk avoidance business, do not be in America in the 21st century. Risk is all around us. So it's not avoidance of risk. It's identifying, balancing, and mitigating that risk. And that's what that's all about. And that's the key critical facet. Now, it's interesting, in the technology age that we're in now, and this gas about millennials and not getting along with them, you better watch it. Let me tell you what I've noticed in the speaking business. 9, 10 years ago, you come on the stage and you tell a millennial joke, everybody laughed. You tell them now, they don't laugh as much. And here's the reason. There's more millennials in the workforce today than there are baby boomers. I don't get along with millennials. Well, you better figure it out because they're managing your retirement fund pretty soon. But it's interesting, the technology business, we let people scare us away from it. And I had my own personal experience. My wife, Cheryl, God love her, we've been together 40 years. She is almost in the 21st century digitally. We've almost got her there. We got her off a BlackBerry and got her on an iPhone. We're getting there. And one day she looks at me, it was about 7 years ago, she looks at me, she goes, our goddaughter's Ashley, and she says, why doesn't Ashley call me? I leave messages, I call, and she never calls. And I've heard this before, so I look over at her, take a deep breath and go, and Cheryl goes, don't give me the texting stuff. I don't want to hear it. I said, well, okay, you don't want to hear it, I'll show you. So I pull my phone out. Ashley, Uncle Vinny, how are you? Boom, beep. 30 seconds, minute later, beep, back, cool, great, how are you? Hold it up in my wife's face, said, there you go. That's it. My wife goes, And my wife's an introvert. She's got to process that for a while. She goes, So she processes it for a bit. About 2 days later, she comes back with her phone in her hands and goes, show me. So here's how you load a number. Here's how you do this. And she goes, dear Ashley, Aunt Cheryl here. This is my first text. Hope you're well. I know it's too long. It's her first one. Come on. And she goes, boop, and she sends it off. Boop. Puts the phone down, goes in another room. About 30 seconds later, beep. She comes running in. I got an answer. She pulls it up. She looks at it. She goes, ah! What happened? She holds the phone up. So here's my answer. Ashley's answer. Okay. I smile, take my phone in another room. Dear Ashley, Aunt Cheryl needs a little more. That's for you. Now, they are texting teammates. I've never seen anything like it in my life. They know each other. So we have 6 godchildren. They all know Cheryl's texting number. She knows their sizes. She knows their critical dates. She knows what they're doing. She's taking pictures like, notable. You'd look good in this dress, shooting back and forth. It's amazing. It's costing me a bundle, but it's amazing. And they figure it out. So with the risk business, you have to help your folks. You have to bring your professional judgment to bear to help them identify, balance, and mitigate risk. They want your judgment. And sometimes using something as simple as, you made that decision to a youngster. You made that decision. Yeah. How did you think your way through that? First off, nobody's asked them that question. And when they start telling you, you start going, did you think about this? Not, hey, stupid. Doesn't work well. Did you think about this? Did you think about that? And after a while, they start going, damn, you know something. I talk to audiences now, and people go, God, the economy now, it's so stressful. I said, really? Captain Boles remembers having a conversation with Mrs. Boles in 1986. We should still stay in the Army, and it's a pretty good deal, even though I can't afford a house at 16.5% mortgage rates. Yeah. I say that now to younger kids. They go, what? I thought 4% was bad. Yeah. So things change. But they want your help and your judgment to identify, balance, and mitigate risk. Those are 3 expectations they have. They want you to establish structure, they want you to manage relationships, and they want you to balance, identify, and mitigate risk. They expect that of you. And if you're not doing it, we're going to go somewhere to somebody who does. Now, the 4th critical expectation they have of you is that you're going to make decisions. Wow. Man. Can you believe this? Dan Berger and the folks at the Credit Union Association brought a retired 2-star general all the way from Huntsville, Alabama to stand here in Hawaii, the only thing between me and a beach, and tell me that leaders make decisions. Yeah, good on you, General. I bet you got an A in your leadership class, General. You're flipping brilliant. Leaders make decisions. Everybody knows that. And I thought so too. Until July 1993. Any of you have children? Remember when they were young and you put them to bed, they always said, tell me, because stories resonate. Let me tell you a story. I had attained my life's dream in the United States Army. I had attained the grade of lieutenant colonel, and I was selected to command a support battalion at Fort Riley, Kansas. Well, General, I don't know what all that means. I'll make it very simple. 18,000 soldiers in America's 1st Infantry Division at Fort Riley, Kansas. If they ate it, drank it, shot it, needed something for it, broke something about it, needed medical attention, needed something transported somewhere, or had to order something for something they needed, one of my 900 soldiers in that support battalion touched it. Got it? So I thought I'd died and gone to heaven. I had that job. So I'm there and I'm walking. I've been in command about 30 days. I'm walking around the organization, checking things out. And I go down to one of my big operations. It's about 4 kilometers by 4 kilometers, big parking lot, lots of staff offices in the middle, and it's where all the requests for support come in, and my folks there figure out who's going to do it. It's an operations shop. So I go down and see how things are going, and I walk through, and there's a little gate guard there at the front, and a little private first class. You know, normally he's a generator mechanic, but that day the duty roster said, you're the gate guard. So I go walking, I need a little help. Yeah, we'll call him Private First Class Berger. So Private First Class Berger's the gate guard. And I walk into the gate guard, go, Berger, how are you? He says, hello, sir, how are you? I said, Berger, what do you do here? Berger said, sir, I'm the gate guard today, and I got 2 responsibilities. I check all the vehicles that come in to make sure what they have is what they need is what we have here, and I give them the most direct route to get where they need to go. The other thing I do is I check vehicles that leave. I check what they have on their vehicle versus what they have on their manifest. I said, what does that mean? Sir, if they came in to get 2 weapons and 2 tires and 2 radios, my job is to make sure they don't leave with 102 tires, 102 radios, and 102 weapons. And I said, okay. So I watched Berger for about 5 minutes. One thing becomes crystal clear. I do not know what the other 900 people are doing, but Berger needs my help like a hole in the head. He's got it. You all been around somebody like that? Doesn't matter where they're at in the organization. They're owning their piece of the organization. Berger was owning his piece of the operation. He had it. He was on it. I said, damn, I'm in charge of this kid. Lucky me. So I go walk it away, and I walk the operation shop. It's about 100 yards. Now, what's it like? You may have seen this. What's it like when a new boss walks in the front door? Get off your Facebook page. Quit Twittering. Quit looking at Hawaii pictures. You know, whatever. You know, it's just like that. I knew that. I knew brand new battalion commander. I walk in the front door. Hey, battalion, everybody's going to explode. Work's not going to get done for the next 10, 15 minutes. I didn't want that. So I knew where the back door was of the operation shop. So I came in the back door. It's an operation about the size of this stage. Everybody working, about 10, 12 folks working. And I'm standing at the back of the operation shop. And nobody's noticed me, and I'm just watching. And you can just tell, can't you? Walk into some of your branches and you go, whoa, these people got it going on. Other branches you walk in and go, nobody may get served today. You with me? You seen that? I'm watching this operation shop, and they are clicking. Efficient, effective, intense, but efficient, effective, they're making it go. So I'm watching that. Now, I had a pet peeve when I was in the Army, and it was if the phone rings more than 3 times, I get a little antsy. And one of the reasons probably was when I was getting raised, my dad was in the restaurant business, somebody's making a reservation, you don't answer the phone, you don't get paid. So I got like kind of intense about that. And when I was in the Army and I'd go traveling around and I'd be deployed, if I couldn't call back to my headquarters and get an answer, I'd go, okay, if I can't get an answer, who else needs support that's not getting an answer? So it's always been a thing with me. So I'm there in the operation shop. This is 1993, pre-voicemail days in the Department of Defense. And I'm standing there watching, and everybody's working. And I'm at a desk, and the phone in front of me starts ringing. There is nobody available to answer this phone. They are all busy. And we're going to miss somebody who needs something. I'm a helping kind of guy. Ladies and gentlemen, 701st Maine Support Battalion, this is Lieutenant Colonel Boles. You have the support operation shop. Can I help you? Oh, God. Oh, nervous. Poor kid probably wanted Corporal Jones, Private Smith. They got Colonel Boles on the phone, for God's sakes. Kid's probably never met a colonel. It's happened before. I say, hey, man, I was just going by helping out. I was picking up the phone, it rang. Just tell me what you need, and I'll get you to the right place. Nervous. Hey, I've done this before. Look, man, buddy, I want to talk to you about as bad as you want to talk to me, okay, because I'm new here too. You just tell me what you need, and I'm going to get you one of the people here who can handle it. I heard him screw up his courage over the phone. He finally says, sir, this is Private First Class Berger. I'm supposed to call the operation shop whenever Colonel Boles shows up. Really? Stand by. Our sergeants have this spidey sense. They start going, and Master Sergeant Cheney finally turns around and goes, sir! I say, hey, Cheney. Yeah. Berger wants you to know Boles is here. Now, that's pretty funny. Yeah. And you're getting a good laugh out of it. Yeah. And now we're going to talk about how come it's not funny. And now we're going to leave the lesson with you. How dare they? My government had determined I was fully qualified to command and train and lead those soldiers and take them to combat. If I needed to, I'd bring them home safe and take care of their families. And somebody in the organization that I've been in charge of for about 30 days determined that the organization needed to be warned about and protected from me whenever I went around. Now, some of you are very nicely, naively rolling your eyes inward and going, oh, Boles, come on, get real. That's the way of the world. That's the way it goes. You're pretty naive, General, if you think that. And you can have that opinion. You can feel that way. If you can answer one question that nobody, not even Berger, nobody since 1993 has been able to answer. And here's the question. In the 2 minutes that phone call took, how many trucks did Berger miss? How many trucks did Berger miss? He doesn't know. He said, sir, they were going back and forth. I don't know. I was busy on the phone doing, Can you imagine when he came on duty that day? Okay, got to check trucks in, got to check trucks going out. By God, if the battalion commander shows up, that phone better be ringing. I asked Berger later. I said, Berger, it took you about 7-10 minutes to make that phone call. I mean, what happened? He said, well, sir, they told me to make the call. They didn't give me the number. He said, I was running all over the place trying to find the number. I finally got the number and back the phone. I went, and you answered the damn phone. I didn't know what to do. So how many trucks did he miss? How many times did we stop him from doing his real job that he knew was important, that he was good at doing, for some sub-optimized decision the organization had made? Leaders expect you to, the folks expect you as a leader to make decisions. They also expect you to be responsible for the decisions that get made. Next time you have a staff meeting, try this. Try this. Go around the table and ask, tell me about the decisions you made this week. You're going to learn something. You're going to learn something. The other thing you shouldn't do is don't ever ask people how you're doing. What do you think about that decision I made? Don't ask. Because they're not going to tell you for 2 reasons. One, it's a bit nerve-wracking. My boss is asking me how he or she is doing. What's the right answer? Second reason, they think you should know. They think it's why you're paying the cost to be the boss. They figure you should know already. So don't ask them that. Instead, ask them these 2 questions. What are you working on and how's it going? And then shut up and listen. You're going to learn something. You're going to learn a lot. Because if you've got people in the organization that can tell you what's going on and how it's going, you're on your way to being a pretty good leader. If they can't tell you what's going on, that's an indicator. If they can tell you what's going on, but they can't tell you how it's going, that's an indicator. And what you're doing when they're talking to you is you're asking the 3rd question to yourself, which is, how can I help? How can I be value-added and help this person who's trying to move the organization forward? So establish structure, manage critical relationships, balance risk, and understand in making decisions, you're responsible for all the decisions that get made. Now, when you take over an organization, always ask folks that work for you, what decisions are you waiting on from me? I was in Iraq. I commanded an organization there, had 16,000 soldiers, had 27 lieutenant colonels reporting to me, subordinate commanders. I'd get out and see them. One question I always asked was, what are you waiting on from me? What decision are you waiting on? And the first couple of times I asked, they're all type A, aggressive kids. Oh, sir, we got it. We're all over it. Don't worry about it. Oh, we got it, sir. You got to be ready for that. First time you ask, they're not going to tell you. A 3rd or 4th time, I said, what are you waiting on from me? Sir, since you asked. And I'd start finding something out that I needed to fix. So don't think just because you asked them once, how's it going? Or what are you waiting on from me? And they say nothing. Don't think you're off the hook. That hook never ends. Establish structure, manage relationships, balance risk, and make decisions. And make sure your folks know how you decide to decide. What I want to do now is got a couple of thoughts to leave you with. There we go. Now, these are not what you'd expect a retired Army general to end with. Okay, you probably expect George Patton up there or somebody else. But I'm going to talk to you about Stevie Wonder and Andy Samberg. Stevie Wonder wrote a song called Superstition. One of the great songs. There's a leadership line in there, though, that you should all understand. You should all resonate. And the line is, when you believe in things you don't understand, then you suffer. When you believe in things you don't understand, then you suffer. And as you get more senior, you know the deal. The easy ones got taken. If it was easy, somebody below you did it, took credit for it, put it on their performance appraisal, and wants a bonus for it. The ones that get to you are hard. They're supposed to be. That's why you're in the job you're in. Your job is to remember what Stevie Wonder said, when you believe in things you don't understand, then you suffer. And that's when you roll up your sleeves and say, I don't get this, go over it again. I still don't get it. Go over it again. And that takes some moral courage, because when everybody else at the conference table is all nodding like this, you're going, geez, I must be the only one not getting this. No, just keep pushing. When you take a break, somebody's going to come up to you afterwards and go, thank you, I didn't get it either. When you believe in things you don't understand, you suffer. Spend your energy not worrying about answers. Spend your answer worrying about are you asking the right questions. When you believe in things you don't understand, you suffer. The next one is Andy Samberg from Saturday Night Live. He's now on FX on a show called Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but I'm going to talk about his Saturday Night Live experience. Whether you like it or not, Saturday Night Live has passed the test of time. 42 years, 18 live shows a year, same routine. They come on, who's the musical talent, who's the guest host, throw a show together, execute it, rehearsals during the week, boom, Saturday the show goes on. A writer from New York Magazine was watching this for a week and was writing an article about how Saturday Night Live comes together. Looked at Andy Samberg, he said, how do you get ready to go on Saturday Night Live? I mean, how do you do this? And Andy Samberg looked at the guy and said, we don't go on because we're ready. We go on because it's 11:35. Now here's the leadership lesson for you. While you're here at this conference, you're taking notes. While you're flying back on the plane, you're taking notes and doing things, saying, I got to do this, I got to fix this, I got a relationship I got to manage better, I got a decision I got to make sure my folks know how I'm structured and how I operate. I got to watch that risk we're doing. Are we really identifying all the risk there and work that? And you're going to do all that. You're going to think about things you do, and you're going to fill up your notebook, and you're going to be so happy, and you're not going to do a damn one of them. Not one of them. And I'm going to tell you why. You're not going to do it because you're waiting for what never comes. You're waiting for the perfect time. I'll do it next quarter. I'll do it next project. I'll do it next fiscal year. I'll do it when Mary leaves and John takes over, and you put it off and you put it off and you put it off, and a year later you're sitting there looking at the same list. If you see something you've got to do, get the reputation as being a leader that moves out and starts doing it. Because the goal in leadership, I found, is not perfection. Being perfect has stopped a lot of great things from happening. You're not great in the credit union business because you're perfect. You're great because you have progress, and there's progress. And that makes the difference. So the goal is not perfection, the goal is progress. And just start reminding yourself, you know, it's 11:35, I got to do something. Because if you don't, you're going to be sitting here next year, wherever your conference is, in Seattle, I think it is, looking at your list going, you know, I meant to get around to this. And you're not going to do it. I want to thank you so very much for the opportunity to be here. I want to thank you for what you're doing. I want to thank you for what you're going to do to make a great difference for our nation. Our folks turn to you. Folks turn to you in times when they're trying to make critical life decisions. And your willingness to be there and take care of your members, not customers, makes a significant critical difference. I want to thank you also very much. God bless you all, and please keep our soldiers in your hearts and prayers. They go for you. Thank you.
Wonderful job. I got something for you.
You do, huh?
Wasn't that a terrific presentation? Absolutely fantastic.
Sure.
Terrific. A small token of our appreciation is a crystal dome. The dome is a symbol of NAFCU. We really appreciate all you do. Thank you for your service and your sacrifice. God bless you and your family. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it. Another round of applause, please.
Thanks so very much.
Wonderful job. Thank you so much.